opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own?
The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode. Happy New Year, buddy. 2025, we're rolling it in with Running Point, first one of the year. It's a Wednesday. You know what that means. We have Gary Altizer, our wrestling guru, with us. It's Wrestling Wednesday with Gary Altizer. We had to bring in the new year the right way, right, Gary?
Yeah, that's right. It's first day of the year, so we couldn't start it a better way, right?
I think, wait, we have a comment. And I think Sam Torres has a burner account because someone's gassing him up. Sammy, who you paying off here out there?
Harry Shatter. Boy, that looks like a real not AI picture, too.
No,
right?
not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he does say Happy New Year, so thank you, Terry.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Scotty, how we doing? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm raring to go, especially, last week off Christmas. I love the time with family and just unwinding a little bit, but I can only take so many days where I'm not feeling productive. So it's good to be back at it.
Trust me, Scotty, when you get older, I say that because it's funny because I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
But when you get older, man, you'll appreciate these days off.
I know.
But YSN, we are ready for the new year. Today is the last day that we don't have any games, and then tomorrow we're back to our regularly scheduled programming as far as live games go. We can't wait for it. But here on Wrestling Wednesday, we have some stuff to talk about. We haven't been on for a couple of weeks. We have plenty of results. Gary, what were some things that popped out to you the last 2 weekends?
Well, 2 weekends ago, we were at the Waterloo D3 Classic. It's a great tournament for small schools. It's called the D3 Classic because it's all Division III teams that are there. So we get to see a lot of teams that we'll see in the sectional tournament, district tournament, and teams from all over the state were there. It was a really good tournament. It was ran well. I think Coach John there in Waterloo does a great job. Kenneth Riley, their AD, does a great job. They ran 8 mats in 3 different places at the school. So the amount of volunteers that they had to have to run that, to have the clocks, the scorekeeper, the bopper, to tap the referees. I think there were 12 referees there. They used 2 gymnasiums and their wrestling room. It's always a great weekend. We had a lot. We got to wrestle a lot. That's the best part about it. 2 full days of wrestling. So I have a very inexperienced team and a young team. So it was great for us. Garrettsville Garfield won the tournament. They won it pretty convincingly, and they had several champions. Southeast was 6th, Jackson Milton 8th, and Conneaut 9th overall. So it was a good weekend for us that week. Then last week we were off, but there were some other tournaments that I can talk about from there.
Yeah, so let's talk about that Waterloo tournament a little bit. Then we'll get on to the tournaments that went on last week. But like you said, a wonderful job by Waterloo hosting this. They do it every year. What are some things that make that kind of a hallmark tournament of the season? What are some things that you think bring out the best in the people that come down? Like you said, Garfield had a great showing, but that's one that a lot of people circle that they want to really compete well at.
Well, the way they set it up is really interesting. They put every weight class, they split them up into 4 different pools or groups, and you wrestle everybody in your pool, and they take the top 2 guys from each pool and make an 8-man bracket the second day. And those who didn't make it into the top 2 in their pool will go into what's called the silver bracket and wrestle there. So I think it's really great for that because, first off, it's all small schools. So you're not wrestling a bunch of D1 or D2, guys in your pool. These are guys from smaller schools. And then, if you're young or inexperienced, like some of the kids on my team are, you get to wrestle that second day against other kids who are probably in the same category as far as your experience goes. So there are a lot of competitive matches, especially that second day, which means you get more mat time. You get to be put in more positions that you can learn things from. So that's why I really like it. That's why I wanted to get in the tournament. We got into it a few years ago, and it's really been a great tournament since then. And then, the best kids head to the second day into the gold bracket, and you'll see some, as far as Division III goes, you'll see a lot of state-ranked kids in there. And it's just good. It's competitive wrestling, which is what I like to see because you're getting the mat time that you need to be successful in the sport.
Let's talk a little bit more about your showing and the things that you saw from your own team that give you optimism and make you, think that going forward you're going to have a successful season.
Yeah, we had one kid that made it to the finals in the gold bracket, Leland Mont. He was able to get to the finals. He was runner-up there. He's 10-1 on the season. He's having a great year. But I thought that we wrestled overall as a team much better than we did the first weekend. And I can see us growing, every week and really every match. I'm just seeing things starting to make sense to the kids and starting their bodies, their muscle memory is starting to come around. And you get a tournament like that where you just get a ton of mat time where we had some kids who wrestled 10, 11 matches in the 2 days. That's great that you can get that many matches in. So to get that many matches in, to actually 10 matches, I think is still the limit. So they, had a lot of them, they got 10 matches in. That's really, that could be a third of your season or a quarter of your season, depending on how far into the season you wrestle, all within one tournament.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane to think about. One tournament, and it's like, hey, guess what? You're a third of the way there.
Well, that's the good thing about the 2-day tournaments is that you can get the most bang for your points. We've talked about this in the past. Every coach has 20 points to work with. 2-day tournaments are worth 3 points, but within those 3 points, if you can get 10 matches in, you're really getting your kids the experience that they need. And it's concentrated. It's not spread out. They're not making weight. I think that's a big part of the sport is the more often the kids have to make weight, it's just another responsibility that they have to have, another thing they have to think about, another thing that they have to watch. So if you're doing it within really one day, because they allowed us to weigh out that Friday night. So they're just making weight that one day and able to get those 10 matches in. Whereas if you were to do them with duels, where your team versus another, it could be over a lot of different days, a lot of different weigh-ins, 5 or 10 even weigh-ins to get the same amount of matches. So I think there's just a lot of benefits to the way that tournament is ran. And, we'll be there as long as they invite us.
Let's talk a little bit more about this point system. Like you said, every coach has 20 points that they can kind of use however way they really want to. And every, different kind of tournament gives you a different, point value. It's a little bit different than a basketball coach has to just fill up the 22 game schedule and pretty much free to do that however they want to do it, however you want to get 22 games. talk about the strategy or the finagling or the more care that it might take from a wrestling coach when you're working on schedules and where you want to take your kids when trying to juggle. Okay, this is worth this many points, and I can do here and take care of this many points and all that stuff, and how much that's kind of that thinking goes into that strategy, I should say.
Yeah, there's definitely a strategy that goes into it. As a coach, you have 20 points for your team. Each kid has 20 points, and every match or tournament that we go to is assigned a point value. So if it's just your team versus another team in a duel, that's a half a point. And then if you were to wrestle what's called a try, where there are 3 teams, that's a full point, and so on from there. A 1-day tournament is worth 2 points, and a 2-day tournament is worth 3 points. The only things that aren't worth points are if you wrestle in state tournaments, like sectional tournament, individual tournament, or if you are in the dual tournament. If you qualify to wrestle in the dual tournament, the regional district dual tournament that the state puts on, you don't have to count. There's no points added to that. So if you really wanted to, you could get a ton of matches in these days, because it used to be 16 of the 20 points could be used to tournaments. And then 4 of those points had to be used for duels. You'd either had to just not use the points or use them towards duels. And now it's just all they've taken away that requirement. You can use them for anything you want. So if you're a team that qualified for that the state duel tournament, and you wrestle in that qualifier, and then you go on to the state tournament, and then you wrestle, all 2-day tournaments where you're getting the 10 matches in. I mean, some of these kids you'll see at the state tournament have 50 plus matches in a season. So you can do it, how as a coach, you got an experienced team that's ready to go, and you want as many matches as possible. You could do it that way. For me, my kids need the mat time. I'm using my points for tournaments as much as I possibly can, because again, a lot of them are new to the sport. The multiple weigh-ins can weigh on them, and they need the mat time. So I'm trying to get bang for my buck personally, and getting us into as many tournaments as possible.
Now, when you're talking conference, I mean, you can do that with tries or duels, right? You could play, 3 EOAC teams at once and say it's a try, or you could just do a duel with another EOAC team. But either way, you get your league responsibilities out of the way either way, right?
Yeah. You could even do a dual tournament, a 1-day dual tournament, where it used to be you could only wrestle 5 matches in a day. Now you can wrestle 6. So if there are, 7 teams in a league, you wanted to do it that way, you get 6 matches in a day, all done in 1 day, finished out your league requirements. So you're not having to worry about scheduling them all year long. And
Right.
I know I keep saying this, but you don't have to continue to have the kids weighing in, because weighing in for most duels is a little different, because the tournaments are in the morning. So you wake up on a Saturday morning, you drive to the tournament. It's early. I just tell my kids, wait till you weigh in to have your breakfast, and they'll weigh in early, usually between 7 to 8 a.m., and then they can eat and relax the rest of the day. Whereas if you're wrestling a duel, you versus another team, it's usually a 6 p.m. start, which means you've got a 4 or 5 p.m. weigh-in. They have to think about that all day long. If they're close on weight, or they, hadn't been disciplined during the week, then they've got to watch what they're eating and drinking during the day. So I personally like the morning weigh-ins better, just because the kids, it's one less thing that's weighing on them mentally.
So, with that being said, if you have the wrestlers to do it, I imagine that's why teams will send one part of their team to one space, and then maybe some other kids will go to other spaces because they want to divvy up, who needs the points and how each person or each wrestler needs to use their points.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're a big school, if you're somebody like, I think Salem's got 40 something kids on their team, I'm sure they got 2 different schedules, which you can have. So if you've got enough kids to fill 2 full teams, why not send them to 2 different tournaments? So they're not having to wrestle their teammates, which will happen when you've got that many kids. And maybe you could get a team trophy from 2 different teams, depending on the experience level. Or you could send, your best lineup to a tougher tournament. Like there was just the Brecksville tournament over the weekend, one of the toughest tournaments in the state, in the country. A lot of teams will only send their best kids there, and then send the rest of the team somewhere else, to a more normal competitive tournament where you're not having the best kids from the state and country all congregated in one place. So yeah, there's all kinds of things like that that a coach has to think about when he's making the schedule. But the state, it does give us the freedom to do what's best. They've changed some things since I've been a coach. A duel used to be worth 1 point. Now it's only worth a half of a point. And there used to be only 5 matches per day. Now there are 6. It used to be that you had to dedicate 4 of the points to duels. Now you can choose how to do them. And then with the new rules with the points and wrestling out of bounds, I think the state is being really progressive and doing a good job on making the sport and the life of coaches much easier.
Let's continue into the next results, which were last weekend. What are some things that you got from the weekend before, obviously, New Year's break?
So there was the Wheeling Park duels. That's a really prestigious duel tournament put on by Wheeling, West Virginia, Wheeling Park, and they have it in an arena there in Wheeling. I don't know how many teams are there, like 40 or 50 teams. Canfield was there. They went 4-4 on the weekend, and they lost 2 duels by combined 3 points. A couple of really tough duels. They lost one by 1 point and one by 2 points. East Liverpool and Southern Local was also there. A team named Waynedale won the tournament, actually a Division III team who looks absolutely loaded this year. They beat some big schools on their way to that championship. There was the Brecksville tournament as well. Beaver Local was there. They finished 14th as a team. Bobby Buhai, we've had him on the show here. He finished in 4th place, and that seems a little deceiving because he had to wrestle the number 1 kid in the country, not only for his weight class, but the number 1 pound-for-pound kid, Marcus Blaze. We talked about him on the show a couple of weeks ago, who's going to Penn State to wrestle, and I told you he'd beat some national college champions over the summer. So he unfortunately had to see him in the semifinals. He comes back in the consolation semifinals and beats a former state champion, Abe Hermes from Milan Edison, to get into the 3rd and 4th place match. He's a former Division III state champion, and he's currently ranked number 1 in the state. He got a major decision. I think he won 15-5. And then he lost a really tight one to the number 4 ranked kid in Division I in the battle for 3rd and 4th. So he seems like he's having a good year. He's now ranked number 1 in the state in Division II at 138. So he had a good tournament. Jake Hughes, he's a freshman there. He's got a really promising career coming. He also was in 4th place. He lost in the semifinals in the ultimate tiebreaker in overtime to, I think, the number 2 ranked kid in Division II. Don't quote me on that. But those kids there, they had a really good showing. To get top 4 at Brecksville means that you're a really great wrestler. And Hubbard, the Eagles, these are just the results I have. I don't have everything from everyone. But Hubbard having another really great showing. They won the St. Clairsville tournament. That's a long-standing Christmas break tournament down in Belmont County. That's south of me. That's an hour south of me here in Wellsville. So that's a couple-hour drive for those guys. But they went down there, won that tournament, had another great showing. They beat Alliance by, I think, 7 to 10 points. Alliance came into 2nd place there. Logan Bala was first at 120. Markel Hackwelder first at Logan at 113. Hackwelder at 120 was first. Markel and Alex Hackwelder was first at 175. And then another good showing for Hubbard at the Queen of the Hill tournament in East Liverpool, the girls tournament. They were runners up there. West Branch won the tournament. I do have just a couple results. I don't have everybody from every school, but Abby Miller, Ella Thomas, and Berardi from Poland was first. Paige Cowan from East Liverpool was first. And I do believe Ella is ranked 2nd in the state right now. So some good showings. There was also the Medina tournament over the break. That is another really, really tough, high-level competition tournament. Louisville finished 5th. Fitch was 6th, and South Range was there at 28th. At 120, Rhodes was 4th, and 138, Chris was 4th for Louisville. At 190 for Austintown, Fitch Phillips was able to bring home the championship. And then at 150 for South Range, Tyson C. Schultz was a runner-up. And the Medina and the Brecksville and the Wheeling Park duels, those are all really, really tough tournaments. So, you see a lot of teams getting in to get, their competition level up. And we had some good showing from the network.
Yeah, I love. We'll start with talking about Hubbard because we talked to Nick Bowser last year, and he talked about how he wanted to kind of put that program on the map a little bit his senior year. They were going for a lot of program firsts last season, and they got a lot of program firsts, and now here they are this season, building off that momentum. Bowser graduated, but the standard he set and the bar that those kids raised still there and strong. And Hubbard is just lighting the world on fire right now. I love to see it.
Yeah, they're doing great. And it's great to see a team like that who has put in the time and the effort, got the kids to come out for the team, and the kids are just getting better and better to be able to come through. I think this is a second tournament win of the season already before the first of the year, and I think the other tournament they went to, they finished in third place, wrestling against some really big schools. I mean, they're really a team to be reckoned with, and I'm really interested to see how they do in the EOWL tournament. Going up against some bigger schools and some really tough wrestling schools. That'll be a fun one to see the results from on the 11th in a couple weeks here. But yeah, congratulations to them, and their girls are doing well too. So, hey, building a culture there. Eagles are doing a great job.
And then when we talk Queen of the Hill, I mean, we had a lot of different girls from different schools really, really show well in that tournament. But, we had Ella Thomas on last year. She had a great state tournament last year, and she's just coming on and saying, hey, I'm going to do better this year. Second ranked in the state right now, got the first place finish in East Liverpool. You see something that could be special when we get into Columbus this year.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch. Like I said in the past, it was my first experience watching the girls at the state level last season. Just because I'm so busy with my own team. But it was just great to see them mixed in there with the boys. There's 10 mats running in that arena, and she had a great tournament. She finished in the top 4, and she was right there. Definitely deserved to be there. Seeing her rank second is no surprise to me. I mean, she's going to be on everybody's radar in her weight class. Paige Cowan from East Liverpool is the same way. And really, it looks like from the results of that Queen of the Hill tournament that Poland's got several other girls coming up. Hubbard obviously does. West Branch won that Queen of the Hill tournament, I believe. So the girls wrestling in this area and in the YSN network is still flying high.
While we're on girls wrestling, we want to give a shout out to Southern Locals, Katie Harshberger. She got her 50th career pin over the break, which is really, it's another milestone in wrestling. We talk about 100 wins, but 50 pins, also really impressive for a career as well.
Yes, and I believe she finished runner-up at that Queen of the Hill tournament. Congratulations to her. She's been wrestling for a long time. She's putting in her time into the sport, and as a senior, these are the kind of things that you always hope for. So congratulations to her.
Then we got some results from the West Branch boys side on the 30th, which was Monday. They went to Kenston, and they finished overall 14th out of 30 teams at Kenston, but junior Gavin Heng continues to have a great year. He won the 215-pound weight class for the Warriors, and a freshman, JJ Mara, and we know that Mara name from a couple of years ago and how dominant that name is in wrestling. So a new one coming in. He finishes 5th place in the 157 pounds. Warriors will be back in action on the 9th, January 9th. Marlington is their next matchup in the EBC for a duel with the Dukes, which is fun to say, a duel with the Dukes. So the West Branch boys also with a pretty good showing at Kenston with a big tournament like that, 30 teams, all bigger schools that the Bombers are going to bring in to Kenston to finish almost in the middle of the pack with a very young team. When I look at their roster, pretty impressive.
Yep. Hey, like I said, this Christmas break is the time that there are a lot of these tough tournaments because it's easier for transportation for the schools. They don't have to work around, the school schedule. It can be planned way ahead of time. So seeing a lot of these tough tournaments over the Christmas break, especially this year, where most of the schools I think had 16 days off, just because of the way it fell. It fell on New Year's Day, Christmas Day fell on a Wednesday. So you got both of those entire weeks off, plus the weekends before and after it. There's just a lot of time there. There was a lot of wrestling this break this year.
And then just to shout out the names for the West Branch girls who did win that Queen of the Hill out of 19 teams that were there in East Liverpool. Grace Bates took the title in the 170-pound division, but they also had placers in the with Jocelyn Brink finishing second, Trista Swanson finishing second, Marissa Moons finishing third, Brooklyn Stoffer with a 4th place finish, Abigail Benner with a 4th place finish, and Natalie, I hope I'm saying this right, Kieselinski with a 5th place finish. The girls are going to be at Austintown Fitch on Friday for West Branch. So, when you finish first out of 19 with a lot of great girls teams there, that's good things coming for the West Branch girls wrestling program.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I mean, hopefully in the future, every high school team will will have a boys and a girls team, just like we do with basketball. For the winter. That's my hope for the sport for the future, and it seems like it's well on its way.
Gary, you got anything coming up to look forward to? Some matches or tournaments that we can preview?
Yeah, we'll be headed to the Jackson Milton tournament this Saturday. It's a great tournament put on there by Coach O'Brien and the staff there at Jackson Milton. It's ran pretty smoothly. They have their ducks in a row early. They have all the information out to the coaches. It's some good competition there, and some competition that we won't necessarily probably see before or after this tournament for us. We're an hour's drive away, so getting into these kind of tournaments is nice because we get some new competition. And we get to see where our kids are, how we're progressing, and we have a very busy time coming up because 5 of the next 6 weeks we have tournaments. One of those tournaments is a 3-day tournament, so we've got a lot of wrestling coming up.
Scotty, my man, I apologize. We got to bring you in. We got to let you talk a little bit. We've been jabbing a lot. You gotta bring your voice into this. What do you got? Some thoughts?
It's all good. It's been really good stuff, so I don't mind at all. But Gary, I just wanted to know. I was thinking about a question for you. You talked about your team being, younger and inexperienced. As a coach, I know we've talked on it at times in the past, but how do you think there's a way, because they're green and young, do you think there's a way like you use that as an advantage as a coach, or do you always do you kind of always wish they were experienced, or is it kind of a thing that applies to wrestling too, where sometimes when you're young you just go out there and do things and you don't think about the pressure, you don't really realize as much what you're getting into, or do you kind of always want that experience? Is it that much tougher when your team is inexperienced?
I mean, having an experienced wrestling team it has its challenges. I don't think any coach would disagree with that. It's kind of, I used this analogy in the past. Get a group of kids that have never swung a golf club and then go try to put a golf team together. It's hard because you don't. Golf's not like basketball, baseball, football, where you're shooting at the local playground or you're just playing catch with your buddies. You don't grow up doing it, so you don't have any semblance of the sport. I mean, you could wrestle around with your friends or your siblings, but it's not the same in any sense of the word. So there are a lot of challenges with that. Just getting them used to how to put their bodies in the right positions to score points and to win matches. So there are a lot of challenges, but the advantages are that they don't have bad habits and that they're a clean slate. And, if you can get, a kid that's a clean slate, that listens well, that shows up to practice every day and, goes 100%, you can really make strides quickly with a kid like that, as opposed to someone who maybe has wrestled for a while, but they've got a lot of bad habits that they've developed, to try to break them of the habits. It can be easier with a new wrestler, but it's just part of the sport. You get thrown into the fire. The only way to get better at it, the only way to learn those things is to get on the mat and wrestle, and to be at practice, be at practice every day, learning as much as you can. So the benefits are that, you can mold them into the kind of wrestler that you want and teach them the things that they need to know. And the drawbacks or the challenges are that they don't know what they don't know. So there's some things you can't teach in practice that you have to learn during a match. And it takes some kids longer than it does others. Some kids can pick it up by the second year. They're really getting it. You can see it. Wow, they're really coming around. And other kids, third or, even fourth year, they're finally getting it, finally coming around. I've had experience with both. And it just depends. And you never know who can pick it up well and who won't. And you never know who's going to blossom or who's going to, have mental blocks and challenges. It's just something you have to go with the flow and see it as it's happening.
Wait, Gary, are you trying to tell me that these households don't have sanctioned fundamental wrestling matches between siblings in the basement?
If Dad wrestled, there's probably a good chance of it, but otherwise, I don't know how much Mom would approve of something like that. I know plenty of houses where Dad wrestled, and there are mats in the basement. But somebody new to the sport, when Dad tries to do that, Mom is usually like, "What happened to my living room? What is happening here?"
All right, let's bring out the mats.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, we do have a comment in the section Radar. We saw it. We just didn't want to break up the conversation, but we are going to get to it now. Our buddy Radar. He wants to know your New Year's resolution. So we'll turn it into like a wrestling New Year's resolution. Gary, what kind of things to do from your team first, foremost, your program? What are some New Year's resolutions for Wellsville Wrestling? What are some things that you'll want to see from the new year?
Well, the meat of our schedule is coming up. We are headed into, this is just now we're in it head first. We're running. I just want my team, we're young. I want us to keep our heads in the right spot to realize that a lot of my kids are new to the sport, and I want them to know when they do something well, even if they're not winning tournaments, and even if they're losing matches. I'll just put myself in this question that I'm going to make sure they know the good things that they did and focus on those, and let them know that it's a marathon and not a sprint. So the New Year's resolution will be for me to just continue to focus on the positives for the kids when they do it, regardless of the outcome of the match. Keep their heads up as much as I possibly can. And for us as a team to just go out, give 100% and be respectful.
And we got a lot of excitement for 2025, whether you're on the wrestling mat or the basketball court. We can't wait to see what the new year brings for you. And before we know it, we're going to be talking about postseason. I mean, it's really – as crazy as it sounds, it's right around the corner. I mean, the girls' draw for basketball is in a month. Boys' draw is in about a month and a week. Wrestling's going to be pretty soon. Once we hit this January kind of, threshold, it's full go for all these sports. It's go time now. It's getting your team, peaking. It's getting your team, okay, here we go. We're going to be sharpening our teeth for postseason. You feel like in all the sports, especially basketball, the November and December months, especially on the boys' side, because of these football teams finishing late, November and December, you're trying to just get into basketball shape a little bit. And January, that's when you hit the ground running, and you got to start really finding out what your team's going to be made of in these coming months. So we're excited for it. That does it for episode. What are we on? 4, guys? Is this 4?
I believe so.
The
yes.
week off,
4 or 5.
4 or 5, 4, whatever. We're on whatever episode. We are on season 4, though. We know that. So we will be back next week with Wrestling Wednesday. Me and Scotty and Gary will be back after this commercial break to talk about some more other stuff going on around YSN. And we hope you stick around. We got to pay some bills. We got to get on to the commercial breaks. So after this word from our sponsors, we'll be back on Running Point, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on
the solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends that you heard from in that commercial break, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. Scotty, Radar's not satisfied with Gary's New Year's resolution. He wants to know all of ours. So we'll start with you, buddy. What are some New Year's resolutions for you?
I think for me, it's just I want to continue to grow, spread my wings as far as, continuing to do bigger and better things with the YSN family. I'm really looking forward to calling a game with DJ here potentially, hopefully really soon. So I just want to get, I guess, just more consistent. I want to be able to, when I'm doing a game with somebody else, just have that quick wit. So I guess it's just working on, my broadcasting, like my delivery and things like that. That's a big part of what I want to improve on. But I pride myself on coming up with thought-provoking topics and discussions. So it would be that as well. Just continuing to, grind and not being content, I guess I would say.
Get that Buckeyes hat on. You ready for the game tonight?
I am.
5 o'clock.
It's gonna be a tough one. Oregon's really good, and they got the Buckeyes the first time around, but we'll see what happens.
You want to have that Texas game up? Who do anyone know what the score is right now?
I can find out real quick.
Right. Mine, we're always looking to raise the bar at YSN, and I do that too. I'm going to be looking at the numbers actually today for our yearly numbers, especially for me. I am the content director, so I'll be looking at how much content we put up in the year of 2024 and just write that down, and that's going to be on my board all year. This is the number to beat. This is what we want to, get better at. And although I think we had a fantastic 2024, I think we beat our views record. We continue to grow. You can't get satisfied. You always got to raise the bar. So we're going to be striving to make 2025 even better, get more content, more interviews with your favorite players out there. And that's what we'll strive to do in 2025. We'll strive to be even better. So that's my New Year's resolution, to get more, to do more, to be more, and to never be satisfied with whatever bar we've set in the year before. So that's what we're going to continue to do. Radar, you better put yours in the comments after harassing us for ours, all right? I want to see it. I want to see what Radar's resolution is. Hopefully it's to eat more pizza, but not steal it from us.
Yeah. It was the whole pizza.
No, he's just for those of you that don't know, Radar, the audible call, like we're getting ready to leave, and he's like over in the corner. Radar, he brought his own Tupperware, and he's just taking slices of the pizza. This would take this home real quick. Like half the pizza that's gone. Maynard, we love you, buddy. We can't wait to see you again. Come out to a basketball game, and hang out with us. We'd love to have you there. Scotty, you too. We want you at basketball broadcast. Got to get you in the Thriller Dome.
I love the last time, being on a broadcast with you. I absolutely loved it. So
it's in Columbiana, right? The softball.
Yeah,
you brought the power of the chicken nuggets.
That's right.
Gary, this girl cranked a home run, and he's like, man, she must have had a lot of nuggets today. Chicken nuggets brings power.
That's a new take. I've not heard that one, Scotty.
It's like, yes. The power of the nugs.
That was a little bit, I guess, from my own personal experience.
Oh, yeah.
When I eat nuggets, I just get like supercharged. So
I can guarantee you somebody on that team had nuggets that day, so it probably wasn't far off.
And now they might have nuggets. They might have heard that broadcast. It might be a running theme. We'll have to get with Coach Kurtz this year and be like, hey, are we giving out nuggets?
Was it Mackenzie Gamble?
Yeah, she graduated, so they'll have to continue the nuggets tradition. Oh man, it's gonna be fun. Can't wait to get you out there for another game, Scotty. We'll get you there soon. The last basketball game you did was in the Thriller Dome at South Range, and speaking of that, we had the Holiday Hoops Classic there over the weekend. Me and myself and Ty were there for 16 girls games in 2 days. A lot of teams there. It was a fun time, guys. When you talk about 16 in 2 days, this is the 7th annual South Range Holiday Hoops Classic, and we saw a lot of good basketball. And what I love about it is we get to kind of give some non-YSN teams a little bit of a taste of what it's like to be on YSN. We got to talk to a lot of great coaches that are not part of the family yet, and connect with some players that, once again, that we don't get to cover all year. So that's always a fun part, because since we're one of the named sponsors of that tournament, we want to give everyone there the YSN experience. So it was really fun to just kind of shine a light on some of these athletes that we normally don't get to because you're just not signed on yet. So that's always a fun time.
I can't imagine that many games. So how many did you do, Anthony?
We both did them all. So like Ty was play-by-play for all of them. I was color for all of them. And then what we did was we split one of us would do an interview. The other one would do the story. So we kind of split that. That way we could get them up in a timely fashion.
So you did how many games in 2 days?
16 games in 2 days.
8 games a day.
Eight games a day. First game was
that guy has any voice left.
First game was at 10 a.m. and the last game was at 8:30. If everything went scheduled right, and the first day we were behind quite a bit. I think the first game didn't start until about like 9:15 at night, and then the second day we were more on schedule. We were more at a 8:45 start time. So it was a long 2 days, but like if that was every weekend, we'd be gassed. But it's just one weekend of the year, longest broadcast weekend of the year. It only happens once a season. So I think we just grind through it, and it's a fun time.
That would be a blast. I hope Ty gargled some salt water and gave himself a break after that. That's just remembering everybody's name. You got that many teams.
Oh yeah, that was rough too, because but I'll tell you some names that really popped out. There's this girl that plays for Massillon, Washington, and she's a freshman. Her name's Delaney Pierce, and if you haven't seen her play basketball, get out to a Massillon, Washington game this year because she is a superstar.
I saw some headlines with her. She seems like one of the kids you'd like to get out and see in person and make it worth it.
And then from Beaver, PA, one of our own. I mean, that was my first time to see them live. Ty's first time too. Ansley Baker, the sophomore over there in Beaver, is the real deal. I'll tell you that much. And she's up for play of the week down there. She had they ISO'd her a little bit. It was kind of like we were watching an NBA game. That ISO'd her with her man, and then she just took it right to the hoop, finished a nice finish. It was almost like a college basketball type of play. I was like, oh, that girl's next level. When you can just take someone one-on-one, take them right to the hoop, and then finish through contact, that's next level right there. So
who won the tournament? I have to.
Well, it's not like they call it a tournament, but it's just like but there were several teams that went 2-0. Hoban went 2-0. Massillon Perry went 2-0. I'm trying to remember everyone that went 2-0. St. V's went 2-0. Was there a lot of non-YSN teams actually went 2-0 on the year? Hoban, I think, was the most impressive team there as a whole because they're just playing basketball at another level right now. They have a chance to make a deep run. So I was really impressed with the Knights. I know Ty gets to see them a lot more than I do, but when I do get to see them, they're very impressive, and that's no shocker. They're pretty impressive in every sport they play.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and is there a sport like they're not?
I don't think so. Maybe they have like a billiards club out there that's like mediocre or something, but nothing that I know of.
How's their boys basketball team?
Not good. TK Griffith out there, lighting up. They're good. Wrestling program is awesome. We just saw their volleyball team. I think they're one of the best teams in the state. Football made a deep run.
Yeah.
I
wonder what their baseball and softball.
Baseball and softball is good. I mean, maybe not like state level last year, but they're still good. I don't know what their track team does, but I'm sure they're good.
I would admit with all those athletes, there's got to be some.
Maybe I'll have to look into some Hoban golf. Yeah. I know they have a rock and tennis team as well, because I know they had a couple of tennis players qualify for state in the fall. So, good luck finding something that Hoban's not good at.
Well,
they're like one of the like Gilmore Academy. They're good at everything, it seems like, and St. V seems to be like they're good at everything. So, just one of those schools. You're in a metro area. You got a lot of people to pull from, and you got a lot of people that are proud to go there. So they're going to represent their school with pride, and you get a lot of athletes.
Yeah, if you're a Hoban fan, it has to be just every night. Hey, what game is on? Let's go watch this team that's really good. Is going to get some quality, viewing here of this sport, whatever it is. I mean, heck, it has to be a lot of fun for the alumni, especially. I would imagine there's probably a lot of pride there.
Radar wants some new teams on YSN. We love some new teams too. If you're out there as a part of the non-YSN family, it's free to join. I don't think there's any reason not to be a YSN school. We give coverage of your kids beyond just live broadcast. We're doing player profiles. We write stories about them. We cover them when they sign on to the next level. Really treat them like they're a part of the family. That's why we call it a YSN family. So if you're not a part of the YSN family, come give us a ring. Reach out to us on socials or info@ysnlive.com. We love to get that conversation started. We did add a couple this winter. We have Lordstown. They're a YSN school now. We got the Red Devils locked in. Maplewood, YSN school now. We got the Rockets locked and loaded. So we're adding a couple.
Hey, how many are we up to now? Total.
I think that's now 64 and 64.
64.
So
I have one of those behind me.
GoldenEye. I hope you have GoldenEye.
I don't have that actually.
Oh no, that's like the classic N64 game.
Yeah,
I remember playing that. Diddy Kong Racing was really fun.
I got Mario Kart. That's the one. That's the whole reason I have it for controller Mario Kart.
GoldenEye, Diddy Kong Racing, and then the Tony Hawk Pro Skater was fun on N64. Blitz, NFL Blitz, where you got to just absolutely pummel people.
Yeah,
that was always fun.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Super Smash Bros.
Smash Bros. That's the one. That's the one that put really. I think that was the first Smash Bros.
Yep.
I think it
was.
was.
And then, I remember the GameCube when they came out with Melee.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun times in middle school and high school.
They had the commercial was the best thing about that.
Oh, yes.
GameCube one where they had them running through the fields.
Yes, Pikachu running through.
And then they beat the crap out of each other. Yeah.
Scotty, what are your do you have N64 memories?
Zelda? I didn't have a 64, but was Zelda on there?
Zelda is a Nintendo product, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if it's like because I don't have the best like dexterity, like it's hard for me to video game with, and hit multiple buttons at once, but I just remember playing Zelda and like trying it out, and I just remember it being really difficult for me.
Scotty needs the Duck Hunter, where all he has to do is pull the trigger.
Yeah. One, I know the
NES Duck Hunt.
they I think it's Xbox had like an adaptive controller.
Yep, they do.
Yeah. So that's cool. But I unfortunately don't game as much as I used to. But I don't know. I never really played N64. I was more of a Sega Genesis and Dreamcast.
Okay.
I
Sonic.
would play those. I liked the NFL 2K games. But
You were a nonconformist. I'm not playing those, man. No, I want the ESPN 2K games.
yeah, I was. I guess I was weird because everyone says how Madden's always been the best. And
I will say that there was a time I thought those 2K games, because they partnered with ESPN, they had a lot of cool things that the Madden games didn't have that I kind of enjoyed back in the day.
I thought so. Yeah, it's man, and I was excited for. I don't know if you used to play it back in the day, but backyard baseball.
Oh yeah, Pablo Sanchez, buddy.
Yeah, Pablo Sanchez and Kenny.
Kenny, my guy, Kenny.
Kenny. I used to like when he would
best pitcher in the game.
Put him on the screen and he'd say, it was like, I think it was on the backyard football, and he's like, they use 2-hand tag rules on me, so it's fair for them. He said for them. I thought that was funny.
That's funny.
Texas is up 14-3 on Arizona State.
Shocker.
It's just the end of the first quarter.
These playoff games, man, it's just like
boring.
Boise State had their chances to be competitive, I guess, but like we're starting to see like there's different levels of football here.
Yeah,
and it's not.
You hate to say it that the people who don't want the tournament, it's like maybe this is why. I think once we get down,
everyone wants it to be like basketball, where it's like anyone can just have a day and go on a big run. But in football, like you're getting beat up every play. It's not as easy to just go and have a good day and upset somebody. You know,
well, with all the opt-outs, you know,
Right.
I don't know. These playoff teams probably don't have as many, but I'm sure there are still some that have. You know, why am I going to put my body on the line for a team I'm not going to play for next year?
Right.
You know,
and that's why I don't take a lot of these people that want to trash a conference, you know, because of bowl games. Like, guys, these are outside of the playoff games. These are games that are like a month after the actual season is over.
Yeah,
and a lot of these guys that made that team what they were in the regular season are either gone or sitting out. So it's like let's not say, hey, the SEC or the ACC or whatever sucks because you know they're not winning bowl games out here. Well, who cares if you win the Birmingham Bowl?
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, Michigan getting that win.
Michigan,
over Alabama.
they're feeling it a
big
little
one.
bit.
Yeah.
Although-
I have one of the guys that does the cherry pickers with me. He's a big Michigan guy, and he said he loved that the guys that were backups that are going to get playing time next year got the chance to play, and you know that's kind of what it was. A couple of teams with
Even their quarterback, went and got
Yeah.
hurt. And they had to bring in their backup, and that's when I thought they were toast because they didn't even trust them to pass the ball. I said, "Oh, this is going to be in trouble."
If
They
you've
hang
seen
on.
any Michigan passing all year, I wouldn't trust anybody to pass the ball on that team. But
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I think
ain't
they
that
did
the
fine
truth.
without it.
All right, guys. Well, we will sign off for this episode of Running Point. It was great to have you guys here, and we will have games starting back up tomorrow. We have no games tonight. This is a dead period for YSN, but back to your regularly scheduled programming tomorrow. And we have a great weekend of games as well. Make sure to check out ysnlive.com/live for your live games page. Enjoy New Year's Day. Enjoy the day with your family, and then come back with us tomorrow. We'll talk about some live games and all that fun stuff. Gary Altizer, Scotty Minter, we're signing off. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Running Point, always brought to you